Hello everybody, welcome to the program today. I'm Mitch Carson and I'm here with two well-known performers along with behind-the-scenes workers at Middletown. They're well-known for productions, Paul and Michelle Carnes. It is great to have you here today.
Great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So I understand that you guys are kind of working your way out of performing here in Middletown, and you've done it all these years. So it's really quite a ride you've been on. Is it exciting? Is it exhilarating?
It's good that it's on its way kind of downhill right now. I think that it was exciting and it was exhilarating and it was maddening and it was fabulous and it was horrible and it was all those things. But it really I wouldn't have given it up for anything, and I think that experience in my life has meant a lot to me and to both of us.
So how long have you guys been into performing in the arts?
Well, I mean, since we were young. I started in theater in middle school. We called it junior high back then. But yeah, my first play was in 7th grade. I guess we did a talent show in 6th grade or something, but and she was a dancer for...
I did dancing, and then I was in the color guard band front.
Yeah.
So I was a majorette in swing flags and danced.
But as an adult, I guess while I was in college, I did choir and things like that, and then while I was in the Navy, there wasn't really many opportunities for me to do anything. But when we came home in '98, there was a little break till we could figure out where we were. But then I went to Harrisburg Opera. Was the first thing I think I did in 2000.
You also did Olmsted Players.
Oh yeah, Olmsted Players and Oyster Mill.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys started this when you guys were starting middle school, and then up through today, with helping behind the scenes with kids.
Yeah.
With kids today. So when you guys were in middle school, you saw something there and were you oh, this is great, what else can I do?
You know, you've been on stage and you felt the rush when you get applause and stuff like that. I mean, there's almost nothing better than that.
So not only have you guys did it when you were high school students at Middletown and you were graduates in Middletown, how long have you been helping out with performances and participating in them here at Middletown? Because everyone also knows you started the whole theater club at Kunkel.
Well, we didn't start it, but we picked it up. So Paige Pavlishin had started it, and at the same time, I think Ann Einhorn started Reader's Theater at Reed. But Paige had started while Cole was Nitty Bitty Kid. But at the time, he was in 4th grade, and Kunkel only went to 4th grade.
Right.
So when he moved to 5th grade, she moved out, and Caitlin, our oldest, she was in 2nd grade at the time, and I got roped into it somehow or another.
They were looking for somebody, because if somebody didn't step up, they were going to have to just stop it.
Yeah.
And knowing that Caitlin loved the theater, and I felt that was a good outlet for her, I roped him into doing it.
And I know you guys are also really good friends with Paige Pavlishin, because I know she's helped with the choreography with you guys at Theater Club. So when she was doing it there, she told you about it, and you knew Cole was going out, and then you guys realized that someone else needed to step up, and so your firstborn was the main reason you guys kept it going.
Yeah, well, she was definitely the main reason for us to get involved in the beginning, and then she went through 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and again, they still didn't have 5th grade at Kunkel, but she was pregnant when the first year we did Theater Club with the twins, so there were 2 years, I think. 2 years between when Caitlin left and the twins came to kindergarten. So we continued for those 2 years, even though we didn't have any kids at Kunkel, knowing that the twins were coming. And then we did it through their 5th grade year, because then they brought 5th grade back to the school, the elementary schools.
So with all those kids that you've helped out, with Theater Club, and I know you've also done work at the middle school and high school as well. With all those kids that you guys have helped, like, you know, teaching them about theater and like directing them, like helping them learn their lines and the songs and, you know, some of the dances, like from theater club up through high school, do you think like those kids have learned and benefited from the both of you?
Well, I mean, you were one of those kids,
Yes,
so
I was.
we should be asking you that question.
Well, I definitely benefited from you guys. I remember my first year doing it. I actually remember watching it as an assembly when I was in first grade. That year, from what I remember, I don't remember the name of the show, but I do remember Chicken Little was that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Poultry in Motion.
Poultry in Motion, yeah.
I saw the assembly of it, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. And then my following year, when I was in second grade, it was The Wizard of the Mall.
Yes.
And now I was in second, because I remember the rule was you couldn't audition for a speaking part unless you were in third grade.
Right.
So I did the chorus, and I loved it, and I thought, oh, I want to do more of it. And then we started, and then I had speaking parts my third grade year for the Aristocats, the Ever After, and 101 Dalmatians. And then I ended up doing theater then through middle school. I did the Reader's Theater program with Mrs. Einhorn there. And then I did the operetta, back when I was in 8th grade, and when you guys were in 8th grade too, like the operetta was considered a big thing.
Oh, yes.
That was the big musical.
That was
Big
it.
thing. And then I ended up doing it all through high school too.
Yeah.
Because I think like starting out when you're young and going, and when you get bigger and like you realize you can do all those things, I definitely felt it was a benefit. And I also know some students, once they left Kunkel and went on to middle school and high school for productions as well, some of them have actually came back to help you guys with productions, and yeah, I was one of those kids as well. Kids as well, and I also know my mom helped out too by taking pictures. So I would say, like, from my aspect, it has definitely had an impact on kids, and it's definitely lasted.
I mean, I would hope. I mean, you always hope. I guess you always hope that what you're doing makes a difference. And we had, I mean, in some of the shows we had 140 kids. So between the two casts and the chorus, I mean, I think it was the largest like student activity at Kunkel some of those years. And so, I mean, I think, you know, just by numbers, we would have had to have some impact on somebody, but I think it helped the theater program too. I think that Ryan at the high school benefited from you guys having that experience younger about projection and stage presence and which way to go and stuff like that, because then he didn't have to teach all that stuff when you got to 9th grade. So I think that helped. And then, you know, some of our students did go on. I know at least one went on to an arts magnet school. And I can't say it was because of me, because she was probably fabulous anyway, but hopefully I had some role in that. But we've seen a lot of productions with our kids in it that we had through the program, and actually it's just been like 2 years or so since those kids have all graduated. But last year was the last,
with all three of your kids being in the productions that you guys helped with at Kunkel, do you think they felt they had to do it because you guys are doing it, or did they do it based off their own decision?
Our kids?
Yes.
Oh.
They wanted to.
They wanted to.
That's why we did it. I mean, we did it for them so that they had the opportunity.
It was a huge time commitment, especially on his part, because he took a lot of leave from work to do that. So he'd have to leave work early, come in, and then I would be there at the end of the day to gather all the kids until he got there. But I don't know that we would have carried it on if our kids weren't interested in it as much as they were, because it was a huge
Took a lot of time.
commitment.
Would have taken a lot of time out of
we
the
also know, like, your kids and like every kid in the theater club has had friends who also knew the both of you, and like their friends saw that they were benefiting from this, and like maybe they could learn something from this as well.
And we had some great helpers over the years.
We had a really good team.
But I'll tell you, one in particular, and I just feel like I have to mention it, Penny Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, she was our stage manager, which she learned that job on the job. She had no previous experience with this stuff. Sydney, her daughter, was in the theater club, and she just helped us out, and she stayed with us long after Sydney left Conkle.
Yeah.
And I remember Sydney coming back every year to be one of the assistant choreographers.
Yeah, and she was our choreographer at the end. A couple of years she did it for us and stuff. So yeah, it was like, and I mean the number of moms and dads. I mean the dads that helped me build the set every year, and paint, and the moms that helped wrangle kids and
I remember my mom also helped you guys by taking pictures.
Oh yeah. That,
always needed
all of that
lots
stuff,
of help.
all of that stuff. I mean, we couldn't have done any of that, even with a couple handfuls of kids. The kids that age, they're challenging.
So it's basically this, like you guys came from this, saw where it was, and helped blossom it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the support of the PTO, the support of the school was really important. We started with Dr. Susky when she was the principal at Conkle, and went to Mr. Schaefer, and Dr. Hunter was the principal for a little while. And the PTO, I mean, we went back, I can't even think of it's 13 years of PTOs, different officers and things like that. And I think they all saw the value of the program and how much it got the kids involved. And I mean, it's not cheap to put on a show like that. The PTO footed the bill for that. And all they took was donations at the door. There was no fee to get in.
We never charged to come to watch your show.
No.
So it was basically everyone doing a little bit together. Like they say, if everyone does a little, a lot gets done.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep.
And so it's like this, a little change, like whether like you guys like made on those kids and like the parents as well, like has made a big difference.
I would hope so.
So my final question for you guys is like, what has like helping and supporting the arts meant to both of you throughout all these years?
I think for me, obviously it was something that supported our children, of course, and I can't say that wasn't important. I think that was important, and they did enjoy the arts, and they went through high school, and Caitlin went to college and did theater in college as well. So I think that was part of it, but I think showing students, I never like to call them kids, but because I didn't want them to feel like little kids, I wanted them to feel like actors and actresses, but showing students that, it's okay to get up on the stage and act foolish. Like, it's okay, it's not you, it's your character, it's what your character would do, and I think that, taking away some of that inhibition, fear from being in front of people and sometimes doing some goofy things. I mean, the hardest thing I ever had elementary school kids do was hold hands, quite honestly, because nobody wants to touch a girl or a boy, at that age, which is good. I'm very happy about that. But I mean, I think having them get on the stage, like some of those kids, I don't think, and some of them never did theater again, but I still think that they enjoyed it. I think they had a good time. I think they got a lot out of it.
They were proud of themselves.
Yeah, and their parents were surprised.
Yeah, that was a fear for a lot of kids. I know a lot of kids would come up to me and be like, I don't want a speaking part, I'm too scared or whatever, and I would always say, but what if you could just do one word or one line? Would you try it then? And that's how sometimes we would get kids, to catch the bug, is just giving them that little chance.
Yeah.
And then the next year they would want a huge part, So, I hope that we helped bring the arts to life, to people's minds and stuff, putting it out there the way we did. And also letting kids know that being a well-rounded student is what's really important.
Right.
Not just doing sports, or not just being, in clubs, or not just doing musicals or band, but trying to do a little bit of everything, making you a well-rounded person.
So it was them like realized like, and they were surprised themselves, but realizing the talent they discovered.
Yeah, some kids didn't even know that they would like it.
Yeah.
But once they did it, and like, you know, Paul said about getting up on stage and having that applause and doing well at something, then they were like, oh yeah, I am good at this. Like, this is something I like to do.
Yeah.
So then, you know, like I said, they would come back the next year and want to do more. So.
In the end, I mean, looking back, it's one of the most rewarding things I think I've ever done in my life, honestly, is watching as exciting as it was for you to get applause, watching you get applause was a billion times better.
It was like goosebumps.
Yeah.
When you got to watch the kids pull all this together, all that hard
You
work
could
that
see
they
it.
did for months, and watch them do it up on stage. It's just like a feeling you can't really describe.
And their faces, you know.
Because we also know a lot of times, you know, there are times where rehearsals are not easy. And there are times where it does get difficult, but then like you see at the end, like all these pieces float. you gotta love the bells.
Yes.
All the pieces float together,
Yeah.
and then like sometimes you don't know.
Well, you
why
know,
they-
Mitch, I mean, at the, you know, the night before performance, and you're still like pulling things together.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna work. And then the next thing you know, everything just comes together.
Piece of the set breaks.
Yeah.
Or
So,
somebody gets sick, or, you know, I mean, but yeah, it always came together. And, I mean, that was all the students, that was them.
And I think the students who have had you through all these years have definitely benefited, and I bet if they could say thank you, it's all to you guys, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet they would. And we in Middletown, we're very glad that we all had you guys to help with the arts. And I do think it is safe to say you guys will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you, and we wish you guys the best of luck.
Same to you.
Same.
Well, that is the end for this Mitch's Minutes. I'm Mitch Carson. Thanks for watching.